Hello everyone, today we're going to have a look at the system flash Yongnuo YN560 Mark III. In that case it's a flash for Nikon DSLR cameras. You can also buy this flash for Canon or other system cameras, as I assume. However, I'm using a Nikon camera, so I'm reviewing this one for Nikon now, but model-wise they don't really change to Canon or anything else like that. Before we're going to switch that flash on, we're going to have a quick look from the outside. The build quality is quite solid. Compared to other flashes, I don't really feel a big difference, to be honest. It feels all well built. There is no noise that the case makes or anything else. There is nothing that moves around when you push it a bit harder. You can move the angle here. It's also quite stable. Well, this is the lowest one, and you can hear this click. And there is no real movement in it either. Turning wise, it turns 90 degrees to one side and full 180 degrees to the other side. So basically 270 degrees in total, which is, well, to be honest, more than enough for me. Turning this back for now. What else? On the back side, well, you have the control panel. We will come to that later. On the one side, we will have the battery compartment. I can just open that quickly. You have the figure here, how to input the batteries. Works with AA batteries. And well, we can close this now. Moves a bit hard, but well, that's quite good because otherwise it opens too loose. On the front, of course, we have the measuring for the picture, or the grid, let's say, for autofocus. And on the other side, we will have the plug for external power supply. If the flash charges too slow for your work, it's 3 seconds if you have the maximum power switched on. Then you can plug this external power source here and it will charge a bit faster. To be honest, I don't know how fast because I don't use it. As well, there is a synchronizing port, so if you want to synchronize the flash with a cable, you can do that here. Well, let's close this as well. On the bottom, of course, we can find the connector to the camera with the small pin that moves out if you screw it. So it's quite tight on the camera, but this wheel is big enough to reach it even with big fingers like mine. On the front, and before we switch that on, we can find the typical reflector. So if you have a wide angle photo, you can move this out, as well as this reflecting card here. So if you use it as an, well, let's say, if you want to flash the ceiling, you can use it to reflect the light to the front. But I'm sure you know. Okay, well, turning this one on, I'll zoom in a bit before we do that, so we can have a better look at it. Like that should be fine. Okay, well, you can see a few buttons here, of course. On off, that's typical. Just push this for a little longer. And the beep makes the sound for the flash to be charged, as well as that the flash is turned on. And of course you have some light here, you can activate it, but well, in daylight it's not really useful anyway. So I'll wait before this turns off again. It turns off only if you don't use it or don't push any buttons. As long as you put some buttons, it remains this interval of a few seconds. But as long as you stop pushing buttons, it turns off for battery saving. You have some different modes here. Of course, you can see on the M here, you have another mode, this multi-mode, as well as these modes here like S1, S2 and the group mode, or RX as they call it here. You can select different channels and use it as a group of flash. However, the only mode I'm basically using is the manual mode. Well, manual mode because it doesn't have TTL measuring, so there is no way this flash can measure how much power it needs for the picture, so you have to set it manually. But at the end I will, well, tell you for what purpose I'm using this flash and also how I'm using this flash. Some other buttons, you have the zoom button here, you push it and it zooms in steps. So you can probably hear this one. I will just be silent for a second. Well, the range is 24mm to 105mm, and with this reflector card on the deflector on the front, you can decrease it to 12mm, as all the standard flashes do. And well, yeah, the power, coming to that one now, you can see this full power now, 1 by 1. You can adjust this 1, 28, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4 and 2, and full power again. And while by pushing this left and right here, and by pushing up and down, you have some smaller steps to, well, select from, let's say. However, when I'm using this flash, it's always set to this mode here, as well as the full power. And also the sound is triggered, you can turn it on and off. Now it's switched off. If I hold this for a little longer, it turns back on. Well, I'm using this flash for, let's say, photo shoots outside if I want to do portrait or anything else like that. I'm putting this on a tripod with a remote trigger or remote receiver and some small speed box like 60 or 70 centimeters. And I leave this on full power because first of all I can adjust the power with my trigger. I have the triggers which belong to that one, also the Yongnuo triggers, and you can select the power the flash should use. But anyway, I'm using this on full power because I'm rather moving the flash around a bit. 1 or 2 shots usually, and you will have the right position of the flash. Otherwise you can still move it a bit longer or take some more sample shots before the light is good. But in general I don't change the power because, as I said before, I rather move the flash a bit, meter closer or meter more far away. So that's not such a big problem anyway if you want to use it. And I'm using more of those, so I have some more triggers or receivers, so you can use 2 or 3 of them. They all have the same power output, and so I don't have to check out how much power does this have, how much power does the other one have. And this one is power output 58 if you zoom in fully and you have ISO 100 set with your camera, so it reaches quite far depending on your lens, of course. It's always the power output divided by the aperture, and then you'll have the outcome in meters. And for me that's more than enough, because if I don't want to have full body shootings like fashion shooting or whatever, where I have to carry some big 600 or 1000 flash around with me with a big umbrella or a big softbox, then this is my choice generally, because it's not that heavy and it's really portable, let's say, with a battery compartment inside. Coming to the weight at the end of the video, it's 465 grams, excuse me. Including the batteries, of course. If you remove them, it's 100 grams less, so it's 365 grams approximately. It's not that heavy, to be honest, but for its size, it's quite nice. There are heavier flashes, but not by that much of a margin. Of course, you can find some lighter ones, but power-wise, this is probably quite some nice compromise, let's say. If you don't want to carry too much around, but you still want to have some power, then probably this is a good pick for you. How much do you want to use this flash for? That depends a bit on if you use a flash really often. I would recommend rather going for a TTL flash or anything else like that, or a bigger one even. If you want to try out using a flash, just to figure out whether you really need a flash or you use it really seldom, excuse me, then probably this is a good pick because price-wise it's really cheap. I'm not sure how much in USD it costs, but it should be approximately around $55 US. And for that money I'm sure you won't find any TTL flash. They offer a TTL flash, it should be approximately double the money, which is still cheap compared to brand flashes. However, if you just want to try it out or you want to learn how to use a flash, then this is quite a good pick. Now you can see at the end we have this flashing here. It's the power saving mode. You can turn this back on by pushing on and off button. It's just to save some battery power. Turning this off, just holding this on and off button for longer, you can see the line moving backwards and then it's turned off at the end. If you have any questions concerning the flash or concerning the video, please leave me a comment. Otherwise, subscribe to my channel if you like it, and see you soon.